Right, hello. So I finally did decide to install this app just because the code levels keep going up, and I think now it's been about a week they've meant to have ironed out the worst faults with it. But the problem is that I think soon a lot of places are just going to force you to use the app if you want to shop there or whatever. So I thought I'd jump, get the bullet sort of and install it just because that way as well I can say I'm being responsible, and if people on here have questions about it, I might be able to answer them. So as you can see, my postcode OX5, so Oxford area, that's Kidlington area of Oxford, is medium risk. So I'd assume we'd have a local lockdown soon if they don't just do another national lockdown. But at the moment, it seems like basically everywhere in the UK is going to end up having a lockdown. So if everywhere has a local lockdown, it basically ends up being a national lockdown. Are you in the Northeast Shed on Fire? How's that going if you're up there? Like, what are the restrictions? Because I know it's different restrictions in different places, isn't it? And it's confusing as fuck. But evening, everybody. So yeah, so obviously it says my postcode sort of, for the Kidlington sort of area of Oxford. So that would be Woodstock, I believe, Kidlington, sort of neighbouring villages, probably as far as Islip. That's all on orange. I think our postcode is meant to actually be a bit better than that, but because Oxford in general is going badly, I'm assuming they're going to lump us in with the other bit. That's a shame, Shed on Fire. Because I imagine there's going to be idiots doing whatever they want, aren't they? Not following the rules, and then you're going to suffer as a result of the people just drinking in the streets, whatever. There's some video. Rob, the video coming out, I think it's Friday. Let me look. Is on a new mask. I'd have shown it in a stream, but yeah, the video coming out Friday is on a mask that is like for a video. But for the moment, because I'm saving for the bunker, I'm not really buying masks. So what else does the app do? It says it's active and scanning. There's a venue check-in thing. What that is basically when you go in restaurants now, they have a QR code on like the door or a table, and you scan that, and it's basically logs you in at being in a restaurant or whatever. So I think it's meant to be easier for like tracking people in private areas. So there's check symptoms. Obviously, I'm not going to tick any of these because I don't want to be told to lock down. But it says a high fever, a new continuous cough, a loss or change to your sense of smell or taste. Obviously, I don't have any of these symptoms. Yeah, so it says you're unlikely to have coronavirus. There we go. Read latest advice. Should we have a look at that? Because the government doesn't bloody know, do they? Let's have a read of the latest advice. Wash hands, cover face, make space. That's brilliant advice. When I was saying ages ago to people to get a mask, and they were going, "Oh, you don't need a mask." Yeah, that's the problem. It generally works a lot better when they just institute the changes quickly, not saying, "Oh, in a week's time we're going to do this, so get your partying in quickly." I'll have to let you know about that second shifter because today's the first day I've installed it. So I'll have my phone on me tomorrow, and I can tell you, like, if I'm out the house for 4 hours or whatever, how much the battery it used in 4 hours. Right, any COVID idiots on here, I'm just blocking. I'm not having anti-science people on here. Again, you can be skeptical of the government, and they've certainly badly handled it, but COVID-19 is obviously real. I don't know if there's any mods on at the moment, so I'll probably have to keep an eye on the chat. It's the official UK one, Danny, so it's called NHS COVID-19. Just search NHS COVID or whatever on the App Store, and you'll find it straight away. But I said it came out a week ago, but I didn't download it for a week just because I knew there was problems with the app. So I wanted to make sure that, by the time I got the app, it wasn't going to immediately say, "Oh, you've got corona." Oh, that's good, Radioactive Cow. This is the England and Wales one, I think, Daryl. I think Scotland and Northern Ireland have separate apps. Different countries use completely different apps, probably a lot better than our ones. But yeah, my phone's still at 100% battery because I've only just taken it off the charger for the stream. But yeah, when I go out with it tomorrow, I'll take a screenshot and show you how much battery it used compared to other apps. I suppose Radioactive Cow as well, it will probably depend, won't it, on what particular phones you've got and other things like that, because I know there's been a bit of sort of back and forth that certain phones seem to work better with the app than others. All right, Alex Saint. Hello, Marcus. You're right. There might be some anti-science idiots on today, Marcus, so you have to get rid of them pretty quickly if they show up, because we've already had somebody saying coronavirus is a made-up thing, I blocked. But right, Danny, if you want one of the hoodies or any of the other merch, if you look below the video, there should be a Teespring bar thing. Just click anything on there and you can go to my Teespring store. And in the description of most videos, there's a Teespring URL. I can provide you it now if you want it. Let me just get it up for you. But you should just literally be able to get there. Oh, something very interesting as well before I forget. Let me just link you to the Teespring and then I'll go on about it. So yeah, view store. I don't know if it will show you. Here we go. Yep, this is the proper thing. There's a tab for YouTube. Egan, like the UK is like the US, it's worse in some counties and states, than others. My local area has been pretty good, but my wider area is getting worse and worse, and some areas of the UK are terrible at the moment. But yeah, so that's the thing. So anyway, the good news is YouTube says I'm eligible for memberships now, because I'm close to 100k subs. So what that means is I've only done one setting, they have to approve it. But it means that you can essentially subscribe a bit like Patreon. I've just set it as $1.99 a month, the only tier I want to do at the moment. And it'll basically be where you can get exclusive content if you sign up. So what I'm probably just going to do is do, like, every week or 2 weeks, do a members-only live stream where anybody that subscribes can come on the live stream. And it means, it'll be a smaller group of people chatting. So that'd be quite good. And I can do, like, exclusive members-only videos. So what I can do in that regard, for example, is say, if you want to see a behind-the-scenes video or a Q&A video for the less people that obviously be signed up for memberships, I can do it more easily. Well, sadly, Student Pilot Jones, it's not very easy to replace the government. They've got a massive majority. I think Labour, though, I think Labour is at least going to do a lot better this coming election, which is still quite a while off, because they at least have a leader in their party now, which isn't a crazy Marxist. So I don't want to get too political, but yeah, the Tories have certainly handled this very badly. I think what annoys me the most is all the flip-flopping they do, the U-turns, where they say they won't do something, then they do something, then we're going to do something, oh no, we don't, or we're going to have this done by this date, oh no, we didn't, we failed again, that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't completely just look at the numbers, to be honest. I just look at the trend of infections going up and everything else, because if the infections go up, you're going to get more deaths. But personally, I just not want to get it and spread it to anybody. So it's just more about being careful. There was one on today on Old Bandit already saying it didn't exist. They're still using that line. Sadly, I don't think LX saying I can link it into Patreon, but if it lets me do unlisted videos, I can probably share them to Patreon as well. The problem is it's like a YouTube exclusive membership thing, and I think they're going to make it only so the people doing that can do it. Because like saying for ages I couldn't do it, and for ages I thought it was like, you had to do like, oh, make your videos turn up a day earlier for these people, which I thought was a pretty lame feature. So yeah, I'm a lot more interested in it just as like a low, very low price membership just for exclusive live streams. Because, like, obviously, I would like to link it in with, like, Patreon if I could, but I don't think they're going to let you do it, because I think it's, like, YouTube's alternative to Patreon. All right, AK-47, life's been pretty good today. My ulcerative colitis hasn't been as painful today. I've had a bit more energy today. Yeah, today's been good. Yeah, Sparrow, I think their policy of putting air conditioners outside buildings to combat global warming is a good one. Yeah, this is the thing, Bob, is there's kind of two problems, aren't there? There's legit problems with the app, which need to be sorted. And hello, Mike, if I didn't say hello. But also, if companies, and I know personally people, right, like I was saying, I'm not a Stasi type person who's like, oh, you've broken a rule, I'm reporting you like a fucking brown noser. But I do know people that, are legitimately doing dumb things at the moment with, well, I want to meet a load of mates, so I'm going to go and meet up a load of mates in somebody's house, Like for my birthday party this year, I'm already having to massively scale it down because, COVID, but that's just, fair. But the problem is there's some people who literally take the attitude of I'm just going to do what I want. And yeah, I know the government fucked up and Dominic Cummings did what he wanted and everything, but that's not going to save other people's lives if you take that attitude. Yeah, I know, Bob. That's the thing. Like, one of the reasons I've got the app is when I'm next at work, it means I can apparently log into work, which I'm just going to do because it means that, if I get told I've got corona or whatever and I have to isolate, work can't then say to me, not that I think they would anyway, but, my employer can't then say to me, like, oh, you come in for your shift anyway, kind of thing. But yeah, I've heard, like, on LBC, people saying lots of problems like that where companies would, completely breaking lots of the advice. Yeah, Peter, what it is, it's basically an autoimmune disease. Like I said, if you read it up, you'll probably know, but it's where it's similar to Crohn's disease, but it's not quite the same thing, but they're generally treated by the same doctors because it's sort of a very similar disease. And it's where your autoimmune, like your immune system attacks your own colon. So basically it leads to internal bleeding, which results in anemia. And if it was untreated long enough, it would basically result in death because it would rupture your colon, or give you toxic megacolon, or just give you colon cancer. So basically, what it means is if you get it every day, you have to take medicine essentially to keep it as well under control as possible. And if you're unlucky, you have to have your colon cut out and be given a stoma bag because you can't, because you can't manage it basically. And obviously, unfortunately, if you live somewhere where you can't get access to the medication or treatment, it will just kill you at quite a young age. Oh, that's interesting, Bob. But yeah, we won't go into that because obviously, this isn't the place to be like slandering companies or whatever, especially because some of them probably have pretty good legal teams. So if you say stuff about them and say this company did this, same reason on radio, and that you're not allowed to say I work for this company and they're breaking this policy because that's a very fast way of getting sued. What, as in phone charges, you mean, Alex? Saying? But yeah, there's lots of horrible things at the moment. I think the worst thing is all the people that have cancer and that, and they're having all their appointments like pushed back or cancelled, and then a lot more people are going to be dying of cancer that would die otherwise because they can't get chemotherapy, radiotherapy, operations to remove the tumours, all that sort of thing. I don't want this stream to turn into a really miserable thing like that, but that's one of the realities of it. That because lots of health services that would normally be going aren't going, it's having a massive impact on people that have certain conditions. But yeah, my area is medium risk. Does it have a map where you can see the all the areas? Because that would be interesting, as if it had a UK map with each area, color coded. But they probably wouldn't do that, would they? So I'll read out the risk levels it says on the apps. Yeah, Marcus, I just wear it regardless and say, I'm doing it for my own safety and yours. So risk levels in England. High risk level means your local authority or a neighbouring local authority is using additional measures such as lockdown to reduce transmission because of a high level of infection in the local area. A detailed action plan is in place with both local resources and national support. Medium. Your local authority or a neighbouring local authority has high or rising levels of infection. So that's my area. My area isn't particularly, but a lot of the nearby areas are, like the bigger towns in my sort of 10-mile radius are. That's why we're in medium now. Please follow national guidance. And then there's also low. In England, there are no local authority areas. Well, we know what low is because it just means it's normal other than you're meant to wear a mask in a shop or whatever. There's different ones for Wales, but I'm not in Wales, so I don't really need to worry about the Welsh measures. I'm sure Mark Drakeford is doing a much better job than Boris is doing. Yeah, I've seen that, Seamus. I'm glad you like the videos. I've seen that there's like different masks in Call of Duty where they're modelled slightly wrong, but the PMG doesn't look too badly modelled in the normal, like modern Call of Duty at least. Oh, that's good, Daniel, if, they treated you properly. Because I know some hospitals and places are doing a good job, but I know of my local doctors, I don't think I can even book an appointment. I can have a telephone appointment or whatever, But for some conditions, that wouldn't be good enough. I mean, luckily, I don't really need to go to the doctors about anything. But I bet with my ulcerative colitis, I wouldn't be able to go, other than an emergency sort of visit to the hospital. I bet I wouldn't be able to go for, like, you know, my 6-monthly or yearly appointment where they review how it's going, what medicines you're on and all that. I'm feeling a lot better today, mate. Thank you. My UC, I think's remissing a bit. I'm not really meant to do this, but I've upped some of the medications I'm on that they, you know, provide me with, just because I thought, you know, in a short term, taking a bit extra is probably not going to cause any harm. But, you know, UC getting worse is going to cause harm, especially when, at the moment, you know, there's all the issues of you can't go for appointments. The thing I really don't get Radioactive Cow is when they say things like people with mental health problems don't need to wear a mask. Now, I don't want to be a dick to people with mental health problems, but why would they struggle to wear a mask? And, you know, it's not just for their benefit, is it? That's the problem. Well, there's not much I can tell you about it, hashtag, or hash so far, other than it says my area is medium risk. Let me get it back up for you. But my area is medium risk, and I've not been out the house of the app yet, so I'll have to let you know as I go out and about as the week goes on. But yeah, OX5, so Kidlington area to Woodstock to probably Islip and a few other places, that's orange. Although technically our area isn't orange, but it's because Oxford city centre itself is getting close to red now. Yeah, this is the thing, Radioactive Cow, because I've heard some people say things like, oh, I feel claustrophobic, but I don't see how a little cloth mask is claustrophobic. Yeah, it did, Alex Saint, because all of a sudden people were interested in masks. And it isn't me trying to sound smart or anything, it was just that when I saw videos in January of what was going on in Wuhan, I was like, oh, this is serious. And some of my Asian viewers said to me, can you do some videos on this new coronavirus thing? So I was like, sure, I'll read into it, like what info's out there and just do some videos on it. And at that point, there wasn't many channels covering it. It was only like very on-the-ball medical channels were covering it, and that was it, basically. And, you know, some news things had covered it. Most people just did not care about it to begin with. And then it just suddenly, like, that's why they were like, oh, this has come out of nowhere. And it's like, no, it was coming for months. It's just most of us were choosing to ignore it. Daniel says, some people with mental health problems can have breakdowns as a result of anxiety and other distress associated with wearing a mask, particularly with severe mental illness. Sometimes it's less risky to have them not to wear a mask and stay isolated rather than wearing a mask. And the thing is, though, a lot of them, it's not staying isolated, though, is it? That's the problem. It's because you see, and I know, sadly, I think a lot of people are just using this as an excuse, where they'll just wander around without a mask on if they're asked to say, oh, I've got a mental thing, you know, I can't wear a mask, or I've got asthma, can't wear a mask. I've got asthma, I wear a mask. Although I would say wearing a mask with filters and proper, like, valve systems is a lot nicer to breathe through than a bloody cloth over your face. Yeah, the thing is, I don't want to be a dick to people that have legit mental illness type stuff because, you know, it's not funny for them, is it? But the thing is, I kind of don't get, like I was saying, I think they should name specific conditions, just not, you know, like mental, whatever they call it. You know, because I'm sure mental illness is probably now too strong a word to use for a lot of this, but whatever they call, you know. Because I could certainly imagine some conditions it might affect, but like autism, it shouldn't make a difference with. OCD, I can't see it being a problem. You know, again, it'll come down to case thing. ADD or ADHD, that's not going to cause a problem wearing a mask. Yeah, Daniel, and saying that's the people I have more of a complaint with, because if you have one or two people that do legit have these, you know, things in one shop at one time, it's not going to really cause a problem, is it? It's just the amount of people that say, oh, some people have a legit excuse not to wear them, so I'm just not going to wear it, and then I'm going to pretend that's the case, you know. Yeah, okay. The thing is, if you have breathing problems and you have a filtered mask, it's actually way easier to breathe. It's actually harder to breathe when you have all the stuffy air kind of coming backwards and forwards. But the thing is, I don't get as well is the people, though, that want to go out in public and say they've got breathing problems, so they refuse to wear a mask. But then those same people would be in serious trouble if they got corona, wouldn't they? Because if you have trouble breathing now, when you get a respiratory illness, that's going to be really serious. I think, Daniel, there might be one or two, like, conditions that cause severe breathing problems. But then I think those people should really be shielding if they could, you know. Well, when they were Soviet filters, they didn't. It's modern Russian filters that are safe. Yeah, COPD is like one of those proper breathing disorders, isn't it? But, you know, like I said, the best thing I can suggest for people, if they can still get them at a decent price, but I bet I've put it in my car now. Yeah, I have, so it's not behind me conveniently. Is was to say, get a mask and reconfigure it easily so the air goes in and out through the filter. That way it protects you and other people. And it's still easier to breathe than... Oh, that was brought up to somebody on the radio, British Modeler, because it made me laugh, because it was one of those people I think that sounded like a bit of a Karen. So yeah, she said, oh, I can't wear a mask because it's too claustrophobic and I feel like I'm being suffocated. I've tried and tried, but people are so mean, you know, all this. So the radio presenter said, why don't you wear a face shield then? Like, you know, a transparent one. Then you wouldn't, then it shouldn't feel claustrophobic. She's like, yeah, but they don't work, so I'm not going to wear one. It's like, so it's basically, oh, I've got this excuse for not wearing one type of mask, but then I'm just going to come up with different excuses that are completely different for other type of masks. Yeah, that's what you were saying just now, Chris, is that sadly there's so many people that are coming up with bullshit reasons why they can't wear them. Yeah, because the thing is, I certainly wouldn't want it to be a witch hunt where, you know, you start saying, oh, this person can't, you know, wear a mask, shame on them, shame on them. It's especially like when you see a load of people who get asked to put a mask on by like a member of staff somewhere and then they punch that person or spit on them because, oh, they asked me to put a mask on. I'm not putting a mask on. Yeah, Scott, but again, it's still safer than not having one. Because the point is that if you're stood across from somebody, less of your air is directly flowing towards them. Well, I wouldn't say any reason shed on fire, because obviously you can't go into a shop and they can't say, you know, you're a customer of a certain race, therefore I'm not going to serve you. But yeah, for the most part, shops can refuse to serve people. The problem is then some of these idiots get violent if, you know, they don't have their mask on or whatever. And then they say, you know, unless you put a mask on, you're not going to get served. That's when they, like, throw a shit fit. That's a good idea, composite book. The one that annoys me, saying about stuff like that, Chris, where there's people squeezing in out places, is if you're in a place that's meant to have a one-way system where everybody's meant to be stood, you know, like a meter apart or whatever, or 2 meters apart, and then suddenly, you know, you get people squeezing past you because they can't be bothered to wait or whatever. What she should do, like a thing a few of people are saying, is get a bit of like cloth, soak that in eucalyptus oil, you know, not to the point of soaking wet, and then put that in a mask. But yeah, don't make the mask wet because then they're not as efficient. I don't think anybody brought up anything to do with guns, Alex Saint, so I don't know why you're bringing up the Second Amendment. I've not seen any of the traffic attendants, but yet the only issue I have with some stores is they've laid out the one-way systems in a really stupid way. You know, where you end up having to walk past as many people to use the one-way system. There's a shop near me where you have to walk through where people are queuing to the other side of the shop to then, you know, walk back that way. And if you want to leave, again, you have to walk through where the people are queuing. Freedom of speech is the First Amendment, not the Second Amendment. It's a bit like Vic OK9. I don't know if there's eucalyptus in Vic, but like Fisherman's Friend have eucalyptus in them. It's just kind of decongest you. If they're filtered Mars Amazing vids, yes, that will do a good job to protect them because it's filtering the air they actually breathe in, meaning that it blocks some of the, stuff getting in. Yeah, can you hear it raining here, Rajiv? It's raining. You can hear the rain on the roof. But that wouldn't be me then, Sparrow, would it? Because it's the wrong username. I like rain when it's on the roof and I'm not out in it. I don't mind rain if it's like a really hot day and you're out in the rain. But if you're just out in the rain, you're getting cold and miserable in it, then it's not very fun. D&B Militaria, Among Us, there's loads of different places as well, but they're just the ones I've bought stuff from. I've done one before, Alex Saint. I'm not going to do a new one with it being even more cluttered. I'll do a room tour when I get a bunker. There's online pharmacies in the UK, but it can be a bit funny with them because their prices can be all over the place. Well, talc does have a trace amount of asbestos in it, but I wouldn't worry too much about talc. But Johnson & Johnson actually got sued over talcum powder because of the asbestos content in it. Why would she have to wear 3 masks at once, though, AK-47? Because that doesn't really make much sense to me. Because it's not going to surely work any better just putting a mask on top of a mask on top of a mask. But Daniel, I think that's the same thing, isn't it, as cigarette companies claim that smoking never gave anyone cancer. I think it's that kind of thing, isn't it? Oh, it wasn't us that did anything wrong. It's not going to do any harm to it, but it's not really going to do anything to improve it either if you put any silicone, like spray or lubricant, on the outside of a GP5. It might make it a bit shiny, So if yours is a bit buffed up and you want it to look, like newer, I suppose it wouldn't hurt. But right, have fun unloading your delivery, Mike. Yeah, the people who painted those watch dials, Peter, they were completely safe, weren't they? For some people it does TXE, for some people it doesn't. It's very strange now, the amount of words YouTube randomly has on dodgy lists where the comments just disappear. All right, most interesting thing in here at the moment. I could say just one of the Geiger counters or radiation detectors because that interests a lot of people. I think my favourite thing in here, other than the PC for obvious reasons, is probably this. The falchion. Just because, this is a really cool little lightweight custom sword I had done. So, yeah, the falchion's probably my favourite actual thing in the room in that regard. I'm not going to start trying to tell people what a good price is for different DACs. You have to look across different sites and work out what the average seems to be. Oh yeah, problem is it does that now and again. Because the problem is if the is that it? Yeah. Because I need to really get a full size sheath for this because it's just a short one that Weapon Collector extended for me. But because, the problem is every time you put the sword in and out, it doesn't always go completely flush in and then it just goes through the side. Oh, that's very cool. Shed on Fire, that is cool. It's hard to say, Seamus. I certainly would sell masks that aren't at all rare, like the mass-produced ones I bought to kind of do some reviews and tests on. Things like, various panoramic lens masks and all those. But again, the problem I've said before is I'd like to sell them to people I know would, not do anything stupid with them or aren't going to, do a thing of, well, we agreed to this price, but now I think there's a scratch you didn't tell me about on the lens, so now I want £10 off, or it didn't turn up even though the tracking says it did turn up, so give me a refund. That's the only issue I have with selling things with people online is just, I know from eBay that, for example, as a buyer, you get a lot of buyer protection. As a seller, you can get fucked over quite a lot if somebody just decides at the other end that they're going to lie and say it was in really bad condition. PMGs you can still buy quite easily. No, Shed on Fire. I've got the S10, and I've got a CT12 and an FM12. I don't have an N10 or an SF10 or any of the other derivatives. I think, Marcus, the N10 was the one made for civilians and just like non-military use, if I remember right. Like basically, I think the idea was around the time of the first Gulf War, they were made en masse to basically give to British citizens abroad, and people the British government wanted to give them to. A bit, like Israeli civilian masks, that kind of idea. But I think it was one of those things where they made a load of them, but they didn't really see any use. I don't think the N10 has a drinking tube either, as Daniel said. They're not always grey plastic, are they? I think I've seen some with blue plastic. I think the idea is that it has a different colour plastic on to make them show them, it's not a military person wearing it, I think is the idea. That it's like a civilian issued gas mask. I've not really got much more interest, in all honesty, LX Saint, and buying German militaria because a lot of it's really overpriced. And I've got loads of East German stuff, German commie stuff. And I've got a bit of West German stuff as well, but German World War II stuff, it's kind of... I know a lot of people collect it for collecting's sake, but, I kind of find it is kind of worshipping a horrible ideology, the reason some people like collecting it. Obviously, not all people, but, and it's so expensive for what is the old Nazi stuff. It's like, I could buy a rusty old Nazi thing for hundreds of pounds. Just a waste of money, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. Shed on Fire said it's overpriced because weirdos collect it and fantasize over it. $150 odd UFO, hard to say exactly. Because like I said, there's some that I've given away for free to friends and family that needed masks for coronavirus stuff. There's been a couple I've sold or sent abroad to people, that wanted them. But for the most part, like I said, it would just be if there's a mask that's taking up a bit of space, like a lot of them do, and it's not particularly rare or interesting, and I wouldn't do a lot more videos on it. They're the ones I would sell. Because the issue is, for me at least, like, I don't want to sell one that people want videos on quite regularly, because then if somebody said, can you test this one, would it work with different helmets, I then have to say no, because I've not got it anymore. Yeah, the History Channel's a bit weird, Shed on Fire, isn't it, where for ages they literally couldn't stop talking about the Nazis. I know there's a lot of interesting stuff for the Third Reich, but yeah, Jesus Christ, stop making them seem like they were some sort of super... clever, bad guys or whatever, because that makes people go, oh, weren't they cool? When really it was like a fucking loser who makes this ideology of, about the white race, and then he ends up killing more white people in history than probably anybody else. No, I don't read the Sun amazing vids, so I'm afraid I can't tell you if the Sun said that or not. All right, Mike, you're back. But to be honest, because that's the thing with the Nazis, though, is essentially if you read into all like the Mein Kampf Aryan bollocks that Hitler did, it's about the superiority of the white man, essentially, isn't it? In if you want like Germanic white men, but then it's like, oh, I'm going to get all these people killed because to make my utopia. Oh, that's interesting, crazy. I guess Sino-Soviet split is interesting, obviously, because the communist Chinese and Soviets used to be good allies, and then they weren't anymore. All right, cheers, David Mark IV. Yeah, Daniel, there's a lot of very interesting Mark Felton videos, aren't there, on under kind of known bits of history. I don't know what the proper word is for it, but well, there's local lockdowns already all over the place, Danny, but if you mean a national lockdown, probably, or it might just be they go, we're not having a national lockdown, it's just every county in the UK has a local lockdown, so we do have a national lockdown. I'm going to keep reminding people not to bring up politics in here, because for the most part we don't talk about it. I will say I did listen to the presidential debate. I stayed up late to listen to that last night, and I thought it was pretty funny, but it was also very childish, but just Trump and Biden trying to talk over each other and shout at each other rather than answering the questions. But yeah, I'd rather this stream stayed on topic. I'll let you know how much battery the app drains. It's still at 99% at the moment. So at the moment, I can't really tell you if you look at that, how much battery it's using up, because if it's still at 99%, I don't think that's the app draining anything there. I think it's just everything on my phone. But yeah, I'll use the app for a good bit tomorrow. Hopefully it won't say I need to go into isolation, but I want to say if anything interesting comes up the app, or scanning it in anywhere or anything like that. You get a 2-week holiday then, OK9, but I don't know if you're looking forward to it or not, because it must suck if you actually want to be learning stuff, and then you're constantly starting with your education and having to do all the online stuff. I actually really don't know Amazing Vids. I think somebody asked in the question, do I have lots of German militaria, or should I buy more, something like that. Yeah, you can do that on mine, Supreme Mango Juice, but I'm saying until it's been like a few hours of using it, doing stuff, there's no point looking, because at the moment it will say 0%, of battery used. Yeah, as I've said, Daniel, I know how to do that, and lots of people have already brought it up. But I said there's no point doing it until I've had the app on for a few hours. Because, at the moment, it wouldn't tell me anything, because it's literally been on charge on my desk, or, for the stream I've unplugged it, barely any battery's gone. I want to actually take this out and about with me for a bit tomorrow, the Atom Tag, to try and do the mapping feature with it. But, again, it might not be all that interesting, because it depends how far I end up going. It might just be everywhere is background radiation, which is what I expect. But funny clock thing? You mean a Nixie tube clock? Every stream this gets brought up. It was going to hype to send it because it makes conversation. It's a Nixie tube clock. Doesn't focus as well, that other light off. Yeah, it's a clock that uses vacuum tubes to display numbers. But yeah, as we found out the other stream when we were looking at these, it turns out they are so upmarketed by a lot of eBay sellers, because that one Hype sent me, I think he said they're like $30 to $40, like where he bought it in China and shipped it to me. But there's so many sellers that essentially have that exact unit. They've just put some more casing around it, and then they want like £200 for it. Yeah, okay, no, it's that's what I'm saying. This is the problem, I think, isn't it? If you actually need to be taking exams and all this sort of stuff, is you're certainly not getting as good education as if you're actually at school. Yeah, Daniel, I don't get the logic other than some healthcare settings of using disposable masks, because it's just going to cost you loads in the long run, isn't it? Even if it means that, I could get 5 disposable masks for the price of a non-disposable one. But yeah, how long are you going to have to keep using them? Because it's a false economy, But I think we all know that here, don't we? I've already started on the whiteboard, as you can all see, doing the list of things to put on for a video that we were on about on yesterday's stream. I know a lot of you can't read my writing, so when I do the video, I'll read each one out and go into detail on it. But I'll add some more things to that. But yeah, I think the point was a lot of people were forgetting yesterday when I was doing the video on it. It wasn't like a doomsday stream, of all the items you would need if there was a apocalypse. It was more like, the idea was more just if you're under local lockdown stuff and can't go to certain shops, all the supplies are sold out in there, the things, you need to do. I'll put stuff like that on there, but a lot of people wouldn't necessarily drink it, and some people over drink it. it is up to an individual person, isn't it? And that didn't ever sell out last lockdown. There was lots of it that got low on shelves, but I never got to the stage of going into a supermarket or ordering online. They said, sorry, we're out of booze. You can't have any. Favorite kingdom, like what? Historical kingdoms? The Persian Empire was pretty cool. As in, go back ages, like the same, like Roman Empire, Persian Empire, all those. Or is that not classed as a kingdom because some of them didn't have kings in, they had emperors? Yeah, Daniel, I even read that a lab was trying to do radiation-based sanitizing of them, and they even found radiation broke down bits of the masks over time. And the thing is, if you have cheap disposable masks, they're probably not designed to last long, are they? As in, like, the straps are going to break or the fabric's going to tear. Yeah, like what the sort of Greek Empire period, Mike, with Sparta, yeah. Yeah, Sealand's interesting. I've replied to loads of questions, Henry. I don't know what ones you're on about. You're probably on about questions that don't come through because it deletes them. In North America, isn't the answer literally USA or Canada? They're like the only two there, aren't they? So that's a bit of a cheat question. It's like saying, what is your favourite country in the United Kingdom, but you're not allowed to say like Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. Oh, look, the only thing you're left with is England. That makes England great. Well, there's nothing in this room that can't be shown on YouTube. So that sounds a bit threatening, Alex, saying it in all honesty, you saying that. I don't know what you mean by, you could see a reflection in that of things people don't want you to see. There's literally nothing in here that I wouldn't want on camera. I don't put my address in giant writing on the wall or whatever. Yeah, I've got Roadside Picnic. It's literally... Oh, it's Fahrenheit 451 I've just picked up. It should be on the shelf. Where is he gone? Roadside Picnic should be on here. Unless I've lent it to somebody. Oh, there it is. Yeah, see, I've got it, I've read it. That doesn't come up too regularly, though, Roadside Picnic, but yeah, it's a good book. The controversial thing I'll say is the book is way better than the Stalker film. The games I like, but the film is crap, in my opinion. Well, not all of the film, it just drags on for ages, and I think it's one of those directors that thinks they're cleverer than they really are. That could burn them okay, Nine, I imagine. I've not read the book on the beach. I've seen the film on the beach. The one about people slowly die. Oh, spoilers! Everybody dies from radiation. That one. I think, no, if it was only a couple of seconds, it wouldn't kill the stuff on it. That's the problem. In general, if something is strong enough to kill the stuff on it, it's going to damage the mask. Some of these comments are very odd. I'm very confused now. Some of the comments just not showing up for me. Well, I wear a mask in public and all that sort of stuff, like you're meant to, Mr. Noodle, but I don't randomly dress up, like in all the military gear and just wander around in it, because that'd be a good way of getting arrested, wouldn't it? Or put on a crazy person list or whatever. As I've said over and over again, UFO, there's no proper answer to that. I just find them interesting and cool. Like a lot of surplus. It's not just gas masks I find interesting. NBC suits, I don't know, shed on fire. The Japanese have their own specific mask, and I can never remember the name of it. It looks sort of okay. Doesn't look brilliant. I think they've had it quite a while. They used M17s at one point, I believe, but they've got their own domestic mask now. It looks a bit like an M65, M2000 kind of looking thing. All right, Putin, same haircut as you, isn't it? Or do you have a bit more on the sides? Yeah, keep the stream on topic, please, because it does get a bit frustrating if you're trying to host a stream, if you want to call it that, and then people start just talking about random crap. We were talking about the coronavirus app for bits of the stream. So just to show you that, again, it shows you what the risk level is in your area, which you could look up anyway, I know, but it shows you more directly, I guess, if you're going to get a lockdown or not. Venue check-in's interesting. So how venue check-in works is essentially you scan a QR code that would be on a table or like the counter of a restaurant. And then that logs you in. I can't remember if you can actually log out of it there or if you have to wait a certain amount of time and then it auto logs you out. No, there are no in-app purchases on a tracking app. Right, thank you, Among Us. I did warn people. Yeah, there are no ads on it either because it's an official government sort of one. As much as there's been a lot of problems with it in the first week of bits of it not working and everything, apparently most of that's ironed out, and I'm getting it just because I'm sure people want to ask me about the app constantly. And I ought to probably set a good example if people come on here and want to watch videos about coronavirus, that I'm not saying like, no, I don't have the app and I'm not going to get it. Does it let you set a risk level amazing videos using the app? I don't have a UVC lamp behind me. I've got a UVB lamp here, which if you had it on for long enough and you were close enough to it, you'd get a bit of suntan, then later sunburns from it. So that's UVB. That does kill bacteria and viruses to a small amount. UVC, you would not want to be in a room with it on, and you would not want to look at it because it can burn your eyes, and it creates ozone, which smells horrible. I've got a UVC lamp and I've done videos on it, but yeah, personally, you'd want to be very careful using UVC because it's going to stink your house out at the best, you know. At the worst, you could permanently damage your vision with it if you looked into it for too long. Also burns your skin. It literally starts cooking your skin. Okay, so where's the option amazing viz? I'm interested in this. I've got contract tracing on. So there's venue check-in, check symptoms, about this app. Is it in this bit? No options in there. Yeah, there's nothing on here as far as I can see that lets you put in a thing to No, it's ozone, Daryl. The weird smell you get is ozone. It's because it basically cooks the air in a sense. I can't remember what the proper way of explaining ozone is. To do ions in the air, isn't it? But yeah, UVC is very close to actual radiation, ionizing radiation. That's why it can cause skin cancers and all that, because it's really kind of high energy, visible light. Soviet boy, I'm afraid I don't speak Russian if you're speaking Russian. Ah, yeah, shut on fire. 03, you're correct, not 02, 03. And Daniel's saying a similar thing. Yeah, I can't remember all the science on it. I just know it's not very good to breathe it in. It's kind of like a weird, bleachy, horrible smell, isn't it? O3. Very light amounts of ozone don't smell bad, but when you've got a light on in like an enclosed space for a while, like a UVC light, it's a horrible smell because it just smells like something plastic's been burnt, you know. Okay. You mean do 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 that one? Yeah, it felt like they had sand in their eyes, didn't it? TXE Gaming. I think that was either in Hong Kong, Taiwan, or somewhere in China, wasn't it? Where rather than putting proper UVA lights on, you know, the glow in the dark ones, they installed loads of UVC lights. So when people were in there, they probably didn't bother them. But yeah, then later on, obviously they had the burns to their eyes and skin. But yeah, as Big Clive said, if you put your hand under a UVC lamp for like 10 seconds, take it out and smell it, it smells like burnt pork. It's actually quite horrible. But yeah, it's because the light literally cooks you. Because our skin, no matter if you're like white, black, or whatever, your skin does not have any protection from UVC. There's also UVX, apparently, which is like even higher energy than UVC, which sounds pretty terrifying. You know, it's pretty close to an X-ray UVX in terms of like energy. No, the only Soviet things I have are like what's in the DP5 style probes with the SBM 20 and the SI3BGs. I've got the 2 tubes that are in the DP63. I can't remember what models they are. And I've got obviously like a pancake probe and things like that in the the Radioscan. And I've also got some of these as like spare and repair ones. Whatever the model of this one was, MCT17 or something. You know, these are alpha probes, but yeah, they're the only Soviet probes I've got. I don't specifically buy lots of old Soviet stuff just because don't store the OZK in your house because it will stink your house out. UVC, I find, Daryl, is good if you've got a room with a load of mold in it, you know, like a damp sort of room, and you plug that in for like an hour, you know, with the door closed, and then ventilate it afterwards. It's very good at killing mold, much better than like rubbing alcohol because it seems to penetrate further into the mold. Yes, it's really good for that, but for most uses, yeah, I would not use UVC as a regular cleaning sort of thing. You might need a UVC light then, Zed, but just don't be in the room when it's on and ventilate it properly afterwards. It will literally break down the molecules of the mold or however it works. You know, like what ionizing radiation does to your DNA. Essentially, UVC does that to the mold. Yeah, Fred's, we're all aware of Fred's on this channel. Unfortunately, my traffic warden hat is in the other room. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Fred's. You know, I know it traumatizes a lot of people, but it's a good film. And it teaches, you know, it wouldn't be like, oh, in the Fallout games, there's been a nuclear war. I'm just going to walk around, ha ha ha, I'm fine. You know, isn't this fun? It's, oh, I'm dying slowly and horribly from radiation poisoning and starvation. But the point is, Daniel, it kills it very efficiently, doesn't it, mold? Fred's isn't fast-paced, but it's not slow-paced. It's basically kind of like a docudrama. Right, see you, Spooky. Oh, that's interesting, Daniel. But I found bleach doesn't work on a lot of the mold we've got. But I just don't know if that's because it's too, you know, thick. And you don't want to really damage the paint, do you? Where putting bleach on it would. But yeah, I suppose you're right. It depends on the percentage, doesn't it? Because like when I'm cleaning like moss off of stuff, I use the really strong sodium hypochlorite. You know, that's stronger than toilet bleach. That you then water down as much as you want it watered down. Yeah, the RM5, the rate meters go over a kilovolt Radiac Maniac, so you can run pretty much any GM tube on them. I don't know about the Netflix one. If you mean this one, yes, I've seen this loads of times. But that was HBO and Sky that did this one. Or are you on about a different Chernobyl series? I've seen the BBC Surviving Disaster episode on Chernobyl. I've obviously watched this series loads of times. I've watched quite a few, like, documentaries on Chernobyl, just made by different channels and that. So yeah, you do mean a really good recent Chernobyl series, as in, 3.6 Rontgen, not great, not terrible. TXE Gaming just said it. But yeah, that one. Yeah, really, as I said, they do run on the rate meters. It's just that I've got when you've got things like the radius scan and these, they're just a lot more practical. Because these are literally Geigers that you just charge up, you turn on, and you get a nice digital loadout. There's no big cables coming off of anything. They're basically just like diving masks set on fire. There's a mask I don't know if I've ever got around to doing a video on. I've got the Polish sort of industrial respirator that's got the wipe a bit on the front like that. Yeah, those, they're a bit like the submarine escape suit sort of suits. It's not going to focus, is it, with the light coming off there? But let me have a look. Hang on. Because they did a few different models of submarine escape suits. Okay, so obviously it's not this particular model, but it's that sort of thing. It's like one of the underwater sort of, suit type things. A bit like a diving suit, but, not really a diving suit, but yeah. Water and soup? Do you mean water and soap? Watch my videos. The answer is I have lots of NBC suits, and I have, for a period, had a proper hazmat suit and done videos with it. No, they're made of mica, Radiac Maniac, as far as I'm aware. It depends what you're going to use it for, Zed, but in all honesty, I don't think most people have very much use in hazmat suits because they take too much time to take on and, take off and all that. But yeah, water and soap can be used to wipe down a lot of things, but obviously for proper chemical weapons, you might want something like Fuller's Earth, but Mark IV isn't a hazmat suit technically. It's an NBC suit or CBRN suit. When most people say hazmat suit, I think they're referring to the big inflatable ones, because like the overpressure suits. I've got a carbon monoxide detector shed on fire, and I've got another detector that picks up on a few other sort of nasty household chemicals. But no, I don't have like a nerve agent testing kit running at all times or anything like that, because they're pretty impractical. And there's lots of things like that even if I heard the alarm go off, by the time the alarm's gone off, let's say I had a nerve agent detector, by the time I'd got a mask and a suit on, I'd already be dead. And I don't have atropine to inject into myself anyway. Where just your boxes and not much else in it, Daryl. There's not much you can do really, because again, if you've got something that's like waterproof, and it's heavy, it's going to make you sweat horribly inside because there's just no like fresh air in it essentially. What's the difference between that and a regular CDV 700? Is it one with the Alpha probe on, Radiac Maniac? Or is it the one that does the higher range with the different probe? Just find them interesting. There's already been asked this stream, and the answer doesn't change. It's just I think they're cool. Yeah, I did a fun run in an NBC suit, and I can still remember the sweat sloshing in the gloves and the boots. Wasn't pleasant. No, I don't have any horse gas masks. I don't have any dog masks either. So yeah, for the people that missed it at the for the people that missed it at the start, just because it's worth shouting out again. Oh, and don't forget to like the stream. Well, the problem is Amazing Vids. If I fill out the thing with the symptoms, it will tell me to self-isolate. So I'm not going to say I've got symptoms and not have it. That's completely stupid. Unless you're saying, can you do that? And yes, you can if you've got symptoms. But if you've got an app like that, a tracking app, you don't lie to it and say you've got symptoms when you don't. Medium risk level is bad, yes. But yeah, the thing what I was going to say to all the people that might have missed it at the start was that I've got a... well, I've applied for it because YouTube offered it me, but I don't know obviously if I'll get it yet. I most likely will. They probably wouldn't have offered it me. I've got a offer to have a YouTube membership, which kind of means I can do exclusive videos for people that pay a membership fee. So if they accept the thing now, they've said I can have it, you know, because they get you to confirm that you do want it, and I said yes. I'll probably end up doing a thing for $1.99 a month subscription. You can get access to like 1 or 2 private streams and private videos per month. And, you know, that's nothing kinky, me saying that. It's literally just like if people wanted like a private Q&A video with a lot less people watching it, sort of thing. Right, as I've said before, I'm not in the mood for shit like that, so you're blocked. Don't waste people's time on the stream when we're trying to chat about stuff. We're just spamming random comments. But yeah, for somebody saying what were dog masks for, they were for dogs during like World War I and World War II, so they didn't die in a gas attack. But yeah, what you get now, which are better, are just like those inflatable tents that use like a PAPR pump kind of thing, where you just put yourself and your animals in your tent, and you've got like little generator pump thing going, and it just cycles clean air in and overpressures it that way. I don't know, Callus, there might be, but I've never really looked into it. And whenever I've seen anything like that, they're always on those sites that charge an arm and a leg for masks. As far as I'm aware, Communist Dude, I've not got any masks that weren't for people. I've definitely not got any dog masks. I'm sure I've not got any for... Like, I've got some children's masks, but I've not got anything like, you know, horse masks, dogs masks, anything like that. Yeah, that's what I think would be better, Mike. And I wouldn't mind talking a bit more about politics on there where there's less people on, so there'd probably be less arguing. UFO, no, he wasn't. He was spamming the stream. He was also just randomly spamming Russian text earlier. You can be forgiven because it's slightly out of frame, but look. Yeah, for babies and infants, they used to have like the cribs, which were you know, like an airtight cot crib thing that had like a pump system with a filter. Right, see you, Daniel. No, sadly, Shadow and Fire have not been to Chernobyl. I was going to go this year, and do you know what happened? Corona. Yeah, I've got a Mickey Mouse. If you search the channel for it, Philip, the British Mickey Mouse one, not the very rare American one, but you know, the bright red and blue British mask. I've got that one. Amazing Vids. Oh, fuck it, you're gone as well. We've literally been discussing this for the last 5 minutes, and you've been in the chat, and then you spam the same question, but you've been saying a load of stupid stuff this stream anyway. So yeah, Mickey Mask, I remember that. But yeah, for anybody in the chat, I'm sure a lot of you know this. Don't spam stuff over and over, especially if I ask it. It's a good way to quickly get the boot because it just distracts people from the chat. Yeah, it's where all the nuclear waste went into like the lake, didn't it, Claire? I know of it. It's kind of a bit of a different nuclear disaster, something like Windscale or Chernobyl, where you've got a big fire putting out radioactive smoke everywhere. But yeah, it was still bad. It still led to horrible amounts of contamination. I don't know if there's been any trolls on Radiac Maniac, but there's been a lot of people just spamming stupid shit for attention. I've signed it, Tyre. At the moment, I've not got a chance to do a video on it just because I've got too many backlog videos, but I've signed a petition. I donated towards the petition. But, yeah. We'll see what happens with a lot of it. But, yeah, at the moment, I'm not getting a chance to do the video on it. It's to do with, I'm going to mispronouncing Brummingthorpe Aerodrome or Airfield, whatever it is, where a company's bought it and they've basically fucked over all the people who have planes there. Yeah, weirdly though, in the UK we don't have abandoned bunkers full of GP5s. Just saying. Oh yeah, Claire, it's in terms of regular disasters, it's Chernobyl, Fukushima, then wind scale. A lot of people would say 3 Mile Islands, but that doesn't even come close. But yeah, if you add in things like contamination disasters, then you've got that one I won't be able to pronounce. That's like probably even worse, to be honest, than wind scale. That sounds interesting. Curacao, if that's how your name's pronounced. Yeah, that's also one of the biggest UK bunkers, isn't it, TXC Gaming? I think there's a bunker really close to me that I need to take some photos of when I'm next up in the area. You know, one that's... You can see it on Google Earth, but, you know, there's no info on it there. It's just like a fenced-off site. If you look at a load of the British smaller Cold War bunkers for sort of, you know, like group emergency planning headquarter type things, you know, so much smaller than Calvin, but bigger than ROC posts and those. It's like one of those size ones. So next time I'm near it, I'll take a load of pictures because I'm very curious what it is. But obviously, because there's big fences there, you can't obviously walk up really close and have a look. Cool. How did you do that shit on fire? Was it part of some sort of operation, or was it when they had some sort of day where you're allowed to do it? Because I know the army or one of the groups, I don't know if it was RAF Army or whatever, up until the point where it was really close to being decommissioned, did exercises in it every now and then, didn't they? Having a load of people do the system, you know, of like manning equipment in there and you know, sleeping in turns and all that on shift. Yeah, kukris are cool. Yeah, the only problem is TXC Gaming that all of the big Rotor bunkers, they put the exact same fake house on them. So once you knew what one looked like, you knew there was a bunker under it, or, you know, at least something they were trying to hide. Because I collect swords as well as other things. Bruntingthorpe, right? Thank you, Tyre. I'll forget though. Once I watch enough videos on it, I'll be able to remember the name of it properly. But until I've watched a few things, I can never pronounce it properly. Like, it took me long enough to say Rontgen or Runtgen properly, you know, because of how many people mispronounce it on this. If you're on about the date form data, I'm on about the UK tracking app, which is how the stream started off before it got sidetracked by everybody. It's saying OX5, so that's Kidlington area of Oxford, is orange, like, you know, moderate risk. Although technically, if you look into more detail, it's our area is green, but it's a load of the other nearby postcodes are red or, you know, yellow, meaning that my area is defaulted to yellow. And it also means that, interestingly, I'll be involved in a lockdown even if our area has low cases when the neighbouring cases are high, which is annoying. What are you on about, Radiac Maniac? There's a guy spamming comments that got blocked, so he's gone for spamming comments and not listening. Hopefully then, Supreme Mango Juice, you don't get involved in that lockdown as long as your local numbers aren't too bad. But yeah, I know the issue's been for a lot of people that they're essentially in a small area that's fine for cases, but there's a big town next to them and they just get included in the quarantine of the big town. Oh, that's pretty good, Daniel. I just basically look up the daily numbers and, then look up on local things what our numbers are. But like most of the UK, it's getting worse in Oxfordshire, just like it's getting worse everywhere else. And of course, now all the students have gone back to uni. Oh dear, that's going to kick us into the red within a week, I think. All right, I'll be off in a minute. Right, I'll unblock him, Radiac Maniac, but if he spams again, I'll block him and he won't come back. But the point was, he literally kept saying stuff that we are all talking about like a minute before. Because, yeah, that's a good way to annoy me on these streams. I shouldn't say that, because obviously trolls will do it, but if we're talking about something and somebody says, do you have this or do you not have this? And I've said multiple times, don't then I'll repeat the same question. You're not banned, person with an Arabic name. I always forget your name. Were you the one from Riyadh? I can't. Was your name Aaron or something like that? I can't remember. Or was that somebody else? But no, you're not blocked. Just bear in mind with YouTube, quite a lot of the time, certain comments just disappear because YouTube deletes them. Al Ryan, that was it. Thank you. I'm sure I'll forget again, like I forget lots of people's names, but. Right, that person had made a few stupid comments in a row, so they're gone. It depends, Claire, because there's lots of people that get different names and they have nothing to do with their religion. Like over here, you get people that have, all sorts of names, and it's just because their parents thought it'd be a good name to give them. Yep. Thanks, Tyler. Yeah, it's a good petition to link for the people I haven't seen. I will try and get a video done on it. It's just I don't think it's going to happen in the next week or two, if I'm honest. Because in all honesty, the problem is at the moment that, like I said, there's a few videos I've really wanted to do for a while that are overdue. Yeah, well, all I can do is talk about England. I can't talk about other people's countries because I'm not knowledgeable enough on them. Yeah, I was talking about it for like 5 minutes with amazing vids with horse masks and gas masks that kept getting brought up over and over. To be honest, the stuff is all the other random stuff, like Geiger counters, gas masks. Trabant Plays is making some strange things. Antiseptic? Well, antiseptic means killing bacteria and like viruses. Do you mean anti-Semitic? But therefore it also has nothing to do with the rest of the video, so I don't know why it's being brought up. Yes, John, I reckon there's going to be one, or they're just going to lock down everywhere and say, well, we don't have a national one, it's just local lockdowns. Which could mean, Daniel, though I don't ever like getting into this because it's just a horrible, suspicious thing, meaning that they could be an alt. Right, I'm going to finish the stream now because it's getting a bit weird with lots of strange comments in it. As I said, if you're new, I'm just going to warn you, don't try and irritate people on purpose because I do get rid of people that do that quite quickly. I don't just let anybody say what they want on streams and comments. But yeah, I'll let you know tomorrow or whenever how the app goes. The name sounds very familiar, A-Truck Campbell, so I'm sure I have seen it before. Off the top of my head, though, I can't think which thing it is. Oh, wait, no, that's the one, isn't it, about the TV series, not the film, about the people stuck on the ship because there's a virus, isn't it? No, I've not seen that because a lot of people recommended it, but then lots of people also said it was crap, and apparently it drags on for too long, so I never bothered. But anyway, yeah, good evening, everybody. And yeah, I think I'll probably be on the stream tomorrow, but I can't guarantee it. But I imagine I will be on. If I'm on, it will be the evening. All right, Alex, before I go off, are you AJ? Are you that Alex, just with a different picture? Because when I see you on, I keep wondering if you are that Alex or not, or you just happen to be called Alex. And my stomach's grumbling now. No, you're a different Alex. Okay. It's just that's where it gets confusing. You have people with similar names that say similar things. Right. See you all. Have a good evening. And hopefully I'll be on tomorrow evening streaming. And I'll also let you know as soon as YouTube lets me know what's going on with that YouTube membership thing. Because obviously until they say yes or no, I can't really plan anything with it. But they did offer me it, so hopefully they'll give me one. Because it'd be strange if they said, oh, you're eligible for this, but once you apply, we're not giving it you. Anyway, see you all. Goodbye.